and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to bring to you
Season 1, Episode 14, Renditions of Reality.
Welcome everyone to episode 14 of season 1 of the Juggalo Rewind podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Peter. And then my other host, co-host if you will. He's not a co-host. He's top billing. We're both hosts. His name is Chris. He's remote. What's going on?
The monsoon of the Juggalo world.
Can you imagine if we got to sit on a stage like prime time? Oh man.
One day.
We'll get a banana phone. We'll be doing everything like prime time.
That's why all of you people out there need to give us nice, good reviews and shares so we can get our primetime studio kicking.
But not so famous that we have a live show because our buddy Andrew says that all live podcasts are terrible.
I feel like a live podcast is fine for like the time if you're there, but like listening to it, yeah. I don't think they translate well to, when you're listening to that the next day.
I agree. It's give or take depending on how it goes and how the crowd is. If the crowd is quiet, I think it's okay. If there's like minimal interaction. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if they're just like, we're talking because we listen to mostly wrestling podcasts. If you're taking the fans at a wrestling show who are already the pretty much annoying pieces of shit and you're putting them like in that arena where like you're trying to get the best audio possible, it's not great. It makes for a tough thing to do.
I was at that live Palcast that Shaggy and the Creep did. And
oh, yeah.
It was so much like background chatter and noise and people not paying attention. I can't imagine how that translated. Maybe they had it kind of drowned out, but it was fun for being there. I don't know how it translated listening to it.
Yeah, did they actually put that out as an episode? I didn't.
Yeah, it was live while we were there.
Well, yeah, it's live when you're there. No shit.
No, like it was live online. Like you watch YouTube as it was going on.
I wonder if they put if they made the MP3, the audio and put it out as a.
Yeah, I think all their stuff. I think that's just on YouTube. I don't know how their show is.
I can't follow their stuff. That's for our buddy Nick. He's the one who's the Palcast expert. We are not. We're an expert in media of yesteryear and albums that came out 20 years ago. And
Juggalo archivists.
We need to start keeping a tab of all the things that we are.
I know.
Archivists, elite, historians.
Historian's a good one.
That's
like when you watch like A&E or something has those documentaries. It's like wrestling historian is just some asshole. Like
yeah.
That's what we are. We're just some Juggalo assholes who like to, if we were on a documentary, they'd be like, Juggalo historian.
I like expert, where it's just like alligator expert or, ghost expert.
How do you confirm that you're one of those?
You get asked to be on an A&E documentary or a Vice show, and you're clearly an expert. Put that on the list of things that we want to accomplish in our lives is be interviewed and be Juggalo experts.
Dark side of the Juggalo realm. We'll make that documentary series.
All right, just you add all of these to the tab on the Google sheet, and I will run down quickly what we're all about. Obviously, you're listening to us, you know that we are the Juggalo Rewind podcast. We go back and talk about an album, song by song, and take you along on that fun little journey. You can find us on the social medias at Juggalo RWD. That's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're on YouTube, thanks to Chris. Thank you, Chris. Everyone thanks you.
Someone did comment on one of them discussing which song was it?
I did see that.
I can't remember.
Yeah, we're gonna have to note that on the wrap up. I forget what he said, but it was worthwhile. We'll add that to the list of things to talk about later. You can email us, juggalorwd@gmail.com. You can find us on the phone. Pick up that phone. It's not just for surfing the internet and jerking your boy in the bathroom. It's actually for colon. So find that little keypad and dial 810-666-1570. Leave us a nice little message. Maybe we'll, answer some questions later on. Maybe we'll do something there. Maybe we'll leave you a little present if you call at the right time, and you'll get some news like the old days.
A little teaser.
You never know. Sometimes I get bored and I just want to put something funny on there. So give us a call. And then obviously you're listening wherever you're listening, and keep doing that, whether it's Spotify, Apple, Podbean, Google. Give us a rate review if you can, and keep on downloading and get those views up. We like the downloads. We like the reviews. You have any other cleanup work here? Any other banter we have, or
I don't think so. I think you touched on it all. You're very
I think we bantered a lot before we even got there about shitty wrestling fans and live podcasts. Coming next year at Camp Zool 2, Chris and Peter do a live Juggalo rewind.
Man, did you see some of that Camp Zool? Looked cool. It was like a little western town.
The sign was real cool. Like, it was very like Sleepaway Camp or Friday the 13th, like just very bad campy.
It looked cold
movie.
as hell. I admit that. I seen like there's like a smattering of tents, like people actually camped there, and I'm like, fuck, they had to be so cold. But like it was just like a little strip of like this. They should do it at Greenfield Village next year. It was kind of like these little old timey, like little general store and bar and all this. They had like an old church, which they turned into the Church of Zool, which I felt a little uncomfortable if I walked in there. I felt like I'd have to go to a real church, get like exercise, but super cool. I'm down. We should go next year.
Yeah, let's try to get them to do it somewhere warmer and not in the middle of fucking winter.
And we'll set up shop in one of those little barns. People can come in and talk to us.
That's a good idea. We'll have like, what's an old-timey version of like somewhere where you can talk? Like obviously not a radio station, but I don't know. Yeah, we could set something.
We'd be like the medicine men, sold medicine. We'd just be standing up there preaching the Book of Zool to everybody. We'll
have we're like carnival barkers, and we'll just instead of microphones, we'll just have big. Those big, what do you call it? Like the cones? What am I talking? What's the word?
Yeah. Not megaphone. I was talking about like kind of like the old cheerleaders in football would have and yell and do.
We got this. We got this under control. Call us up, Zool. We know where your home is with us.
I mean,
you remember us.
You've been their handler a few years at Astronomicon. I think you got them under control.
Yeah, come to Astronomicon, one and all, and see me tear my hair out as I try to wrangle those three assholes.
And every year you get them at the very first day, the very first hour. So you're in charge of keeping them on track to make sure the time doesn't get fucked up for the whole weekend.
Oh man, that's definitely a great way to start the weekend. If you, the listener, are listening to this as we drop it, I believe Astronomicon 5 info is about to come out here in maybe the next week or so. So
yeah,
you never know. I don't know when or where it's going to be. We have our speculations, but I'm sure we will be there in some form or capacity. So that's good. Come see me just out of my mind, crazy, trying to do horror trivia with Alazul. Maybe we'll do something live with the rewind. Hopefully.
That'd be nice.
All right, let's get into the song. We are episode 14, as we said. We are here for Renditions of Reality. Very good track. We're going to get into this a little later on, but I already know where this is all going. Producer on this track, Scott the Man Sumner.
As we close out the Mostasteless here, I think we've got a clear MVP candidate in Scott Sumner.
Forget Madrox versus Monoxide. This is the Sumner versus Mike Clark show. I'm sure we'll talk about this a little later, but the timeline of this has Scott Sumner written all over it, but I don't know. There's a little weirdness going on there, but we'll get into that later on. That's not a worry. Just know that Scott Sumner got his name on this track, got paid, and is now living in infamy. Well,
thanks to this podcast.
Two of those three are true. I don't know about one of them.
We're working on the infamy.
Two truths and a lie. Which one was the lie?
I completely overlooked the real lie.
Time on this track on the original Mostasteless album, 9 minutes and 39 seconds. Quite the long track there, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but that's I don't think that's technically the full track length.
Yeah, there's a little kabuki-ish there, as they say in the business.
Even if you take the kabuki out, it's still a long track.
It is. That is true. And we will, if you know, then you will also be aware of what we're probably going to do on this episode. So stay tuned, if you will, if you understand. 9 minutes, 39 seconds on the original. The actual song, I believe, clocks in at 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Still pretty long boy there. Mm-hmm. Track number, as we said, this is episode 14. This is the last song on the original Mostasteless album. It's also the last track on the reissue, but it's bumped up to number 13. It closes out both albums, I think, pretty well.
So the reissue, you get one less track, but you don't have two filler tracks with smoke breaks, so you technically have one extra track on the national one, if you look at it that way.
Is that how you do the math? That's your album math?
That's my Scott Steiner album math.
If you get 66 and 2/3 chance of listening to this, but 1/5 of it is not on Spotify, then you get 133% chance of listening to Mostasteless. We got a lot of wrestling talk so far. What's going on here?
I don't know.
If you enjoy the wrestling talk, go look for the 20 by 20 pod, who also has us bantering, ironically, about Juggalo stuff there, and we banter about wrestling stuff here. So
that's how it goes.
It's a nice companion piece. It's not on the demo. They didn't play it on the House of Horrors tour, so those are easy ones because obviously, or this was, well, not obviously, but we'll get into the history of it, but it wasn't presented to Psychopathic at that time, so came a little later. Mm-hmm. There is a history to the track, but I think we should wait for that till afterwards. Are you in agreement with that? Are you okay with
that makes sense.
Going that direction? Sometimes I like going chronologically, but on this one, I think I want to jump around a little bit. So, we're jumping right into the lyrical deep dive. Are you ready? Do you have your genius.com up and ready to go?
I'm strapped in, locked and loaded.
Are you using your A to Z lyrics today, or what shitty website are you?
No, I'm
rocking?
sticking to Genius. I'm sticking to Genius. I actually didn't check A to Z and how bad they butchered it. So
there's a couple of mistakes in the Genius one I noticed, but that's okay.
I was gonna say there's a few things that I wasn't sure what they said, and I'm like, I don't believe that's what it is. So we'll get to it as we get through this.
Yeah, we'll just ignore those and pretend like we know what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Okay, Renditions of Reality starts with, a pretty nice size little instrumental intro. Kind of sets the mood, right?
It kicks you into that closing track, which I feel like this is the era where they kind of start getting into, that sound of a closing track. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. I was going to bring this up before. Yeah. I'll go into it right now that we've brought it up. Psychopathic had a good history there, a good little run of having a very good song at the last track on the album, right? Off the top of my head, you had I'm Coming Home, Nothing's Left. What was the last one on Malenko? I can't ever... Pass Me By. Pass Me By. there's a very specific type of sound, right? A good song is somber, We call it a ballad, but they're not really ballads. They're slower, they're more... I guess deep, you would say, in what they're... Yeah, Juggalo ballad. That's a good... I'm down with that. Twiztid obviously did it here, and I don't know if... Off the top of my head, I don't know if they always did that for House of Crazy's albums, or if they kind of just picked it up here. No, I don't think House of Crazy's ever had that type.
Vibe. But yeah, it's definitely a ending of the CD mood. And back in the day... I distinctly remember our buddy Rex, who was on an earlier episode with us, we would always say, whether it was a Psychopathic album or a CD that he was making or just any record, we would call the last track the Renditions of Reality track. So it's funny that none of the other ones stuck, but this one just stuck a chord with that's how you end a CD. We talked about CDs have... the weed song and the hip hop song and the fight song and the whatever song, like you're very formulaic in how you build an album. We would always call that slow, deep song at the end the Renditions of Reality. So talk about skipping ahead and like an everlasting point or, indent into the culture or your lives. That's it for us. It was for me and Rex. It was for sure that,
Yeah, and
this is how you end a CD.
I'm Coming Home, which came before this. That was, I guess, it's kind of had that vibe, the slower, but this one I think took it to another level on that. Where this and Pass Me By were kind of came out around the same time. Both kind of had that. Took what I'm Coming Home had and punched it up to all right. We got a formula here. That's how we close our albums.
Right. Maybe a lesser person would call them like emo, but I kind of hate that term. But like it is. We'll just say that they're deeper lyrics and like more thought-provoking or what have you. So,
and just a Twiztid in general becomes something they dabble in a lot more as we'll
get into that. Don't you worry. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, let's jump into this first verse here, which is abnormally long. My God. Usually we will go person by person. So Jamie Madrox starts off this song with a very long verse. What do you have going on here? I always kind of take over. Do you have anything you want to discuss about Jamie's first verse here?
No, nothing on this really jumps out.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. This has been the Juggalo Rewind. Twitter and Instagram at Juggalo. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
His second verse gets a little bit more personal and more telling kind of the same story that Monoxide does. Maybe this one just kind of sets the stage for kind of the theme of like loss, losing people, where this one's more talking about scandalous, shifty people, things like that, evil, but I feel like it doesn't have the same vibe as his second verse and
oh, for sure
when it comes to that.
Agreed.
Or they're telling.
So the two notes that I wrote down here, because I actually did some actual work today on here. My first note is people are shitty. And I think that's kind of what he's going with here, that, like a lot of like quote unquote player hater talk in this verse. I think he's just kind of saying, everyone is just that people are shitty and they're fake. And it's the line that I got a lot out of here. Player hating is an art of a scandalous and shifty person. Some do it oh so well, and I'll be damned if they don't rehearse it. People are so shitty and it's so natural to them that it's almost like they rehearse being that crappy of a person. I thought that was funny when I read it.
As a kid, as a kid listening to this and like setting the stage for Twiztid, especially on Freak Show when it comes to the outsider, us versus them, I'm not a people person. Truth is, I can't stand too many people. That like when you're a teenager, angry at everything, that one like really hit you.
Were you an angry teenager?
No, everyone pretended to be when they were 14, 15.
If you want to hear more about angry teenage angst, listen to the Roach Coach podcast, where that's all they talk about is how everyone in our generation listened to angsty rock.
Had fake, especially suburban white kids who had like minimal problems. Just had to like make sure they got angry listening to we called it emo. What was that? The rap rock stuff that they discuss. New metal,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Twiztid in this album, not so much, but that line sticks out, and then that makes you think of Freak Show, where they go full-blown like that outsider.
Just us versus them kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that line to me always stuck out.
I also, putting a couple things together here, I started to put this together as I read the lyrics, but we also found a clip of an interview that Jamie Madrox gave with Real Juggalos way back in the day. He talks about how this song is kind of a slap in the face to people who thought that all Twiztid was about was like killing and dead and evil and just like bullshit, and how they wrote this song to kind of show that they can talk about quote unquote reality. And I wrote that down before I even read that clip from him, that they really do. I guess they mention it in every verse, right? Whether it's short or it's an entire line. They talk about reality and slipping into reality. So like, I took that as they know that they have a gimmick and it's about all this other, stupid bullshit, whether it's zombies, clowns, horror movies. But then when you close your eyes, like at the end of the day, I think there's once or twice where they talk about like singing at them on the microphone. Like once they're off the microphone, they're normal people and they have normal problems. And this is them rapping about, shit that everyone goes through. And he said that in that quote. I just wrote down stale shit that people go through, but that was pretty much the gist of what he was saying, that they just wanted to encapsulate stuff that everyone goes through and not, fantasy, horrorcore, rap rock that, most of the other CDs talk about. So
Right.
I don't know. When I was a kid, yeah, for sure. I didn't realize that's what they were talking about. I'm just like, Renditions of Reality. It's just the name of a song. But I think they're really talking about slipping into their other persona is what the song is truly all about.
Yeah, Twiztid's the way they escape from all this the bullshit in life that they're, especially this first part of Madrox is going through, like you said, just the interactions with assholes in the streets, even they said family members that you got to keep your eye on and things like that. And
I wonder. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, talk about a little foreshadowing maybe with that whole watching the ones you're close to. We don't like to delve too deep into that, but who would have thought?
He also drops a line that we can't repeat here. We've talked about that in past episodes, so
yeah, if you
carry
want
on.
We've kind of glossed over it. If you haven't listened straight through the whole thing, we get deep into that on Die Motherfucker Die, right? Is where we kind of discuss that and go into depth on the whole ordeal. So no need to rehash it again. But if you haven't listened to that, go back. That's kind of where we get into that.
Yeah, if you're not listening to us straight through, you should go back and listen to the episodes that you haven't listened to. Just because you don't think you're going to like a song doesn't mean you're going to not like an episode. So are we done with Jamie Madrox for now?
I believe so.
All right, you don't want to talk about his dick again, or you just want to let that go?
I wasn't going to bring it up this episode. There's nothing in here. There's nothing in here about it. So like it's a fucking character in the Juggalo lore, the canon. Maybe that's why he's so depressed in his first verse.
The player haters are hating on the okay. Anyways,
go ahead.
So we go into the hook. We'll dissect this and debate it a little later. For as fire as this song is, I think this hook is terrible.
I don't mind it.
It's just Jay talking. Like, I don't know. I'm not. Also, depending on which version you're looking at on your genius.com, it may read a little different, but we're not going to spoil that. We're going to get to that in a minute. But the Violent J version on the original Mostasteless, I can kind of do without.
I like his hook better than Madrox.
What? Oh my god! We're gonna be fighting in about 5 minutes. Just hold on to that.
He's got a singing voice. He's like Eddie Vedder, only better.
Wow. The one thing I will say that when you, and this is from us being fans, and I think just smart, normal people, and not actual like artists, because I'm sure a real rapper or a singer would tear this apart. But like, if you're just a straight solo rapper, or you have a group like Twiztid, when you have a hook, if you just have your voice and then your voice doing the hook and then your next verse, it does get a little monotone. Like, unless you're changing it somehow, you're doubling it up or changing the beat or making it different, it is a little, it's not as good as if you have someone else, another voice doing it. So I get maybe why they had Jay, or why Jay suggested that he kind of plug in and do the hook for them. So
Psychopathic was always good at Yeah, putting a different voice in or like layering it up, making it kind of a big sing-song, crowd type. Their hooks, I feel like, always stood out for that. Like you said, switching it up, not just your typical rap song where isn't hooks just a way to get from one verse to the next.
Yeah, that's the mark of a bad local rapper, is just doing a verse and then a hook in the exact same like tone, and you don't change the beat at all. Like, that's bad. Like, you can tell just from that if you've got the chops or if you don't give a shit about your art.
I mean, you've seen plenty of local shows, and especially when you're seeing them live for a show, and you're listening, like, you could tell they're talented. Like, it doesn't sound terrible, but it doesn't sound good. It's just there, and like by the time he gets to his next song, you completely forgot what he even was singing about, or they were singing about, or I've seen that plenty of times where, especially like I said, local smaller rapper, something's got to make you stand out. It's going to be a gimmick, or you're gonna do something different with the hook or something. There.
Yeah, your sound. Like now we're going off on a local Detroit hip hop tangent, but in our era, which I'll call like the early 2000s, the people who stuck out, -1, had like insanely good production. Like, if you listen to Hush's album, Roses and Razor Blades, for that time, the production value, he must have put 10 times as much money as other people did into making that CD, mastering it, making sure it was clear. Like, it pops. 20 years later, it still pops. Gordy's first CD, The Entity, pops. Yeah, and
how much has Gordy put out since then that you just don't even think about it? But that first one was so damn good, and stuck out.
So you are a joke, containing no punchlines. Listening to the rhymes you wrote, waiting on the punchlines. I'm murdering this nigga, merciless with scriptures. Turn this click against some serpent with your verses, nigga. Kill him. My hunger pains got my insides eating itself.
And I think part of it was the production value. If you brought home that CD and it sounded like you made it in your basement on Pro Tools or whatever, and you're just rapping into that shitty little microphone on your parents' desktop, like, it sounds like it. And it's like, it doesn't matter how live you are in concert or how many people you have on your shows. Those two CDs, definitely in particular from that era, I think still hold up on the production value. So
for sure.
I don't know how we got off on that tangent. Psychopathic was always good at that, I guess, and
good at, like, we were discussing the hook kind of being there and just a bridge between the things. But yeah, we were saying how Psychopathic was always good at, and it came down to a Jay doing the hook on here, that they're good at putting a different voice or like layering the voices or, doing something different with the hook than just
I agree.
The artist going from one to the next.
All right, going to the next artist, we have the Monoxide Child on verse number 2. I think this is the fire verse of the song. There's not there's not one-liners. There's nothing that like crazy sticks out, but he's just talking frankly about everyone around him dying and, the problems that come with that, whether, people getting murdered on the corner, whether someone's committing suicide, just the fact that he is here and everyone's kind of falling around him, and the pressure and the sadness, for lack of a better word, that comes with that. And he literally just says, he says it a couple times, that he gets high to, just mellow out and think about the good times and remember the people who aren't there anymore. And that's
that good. Skipping ahead, the closeout where he's like talking about visiting everyone in the sky, getting high, like that whole final couple lines is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this is very, like, again, we were discussing with Mandrex. This is them. It felt like, especially when you first heard it, it sounds like, oh, these are just the real guys. Like, this is them, the dudes who grew up on the east side of Detroit and living through crazy times and stuff. That's how I always took this when I first heard it. Yeah,
I agree. This is their, like you always say, this is their real personas. It's not the bullshit. It's what I think a lot of people feel, and I'm sure it's what they felt. I'd be curious if he had anyone in mind when he talks in this verse, like if there were very specific people that he lost. And
yeah, it feels like it's people they grew up with, but then again, it feels like it could just be like a hood movie like song, you know, like you hear these lyrics and it sounds like a Menace to Society or Boys in the Hood, you know.
I
But
agree.
you know, like they grew up in Eastside Detroit, terrible time then. So you imagine they probably had, or at least knew people that, you know, went way too young. They're in their early 20s when this is written.
Oh, geez. Yeah, without doing the math, probably. Oh, and producer George is down here. Hello. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We're both kind of agreeing that this was the fire lyric that stands out, and Monoxide must have thought so too, because it's basically the exact same lyrics that he had in Slip into Reality.
Yes.
I mean, it's
yeah, well, I agree with that, and that's another question I have in a couple minutes here.
okay.
I think the one that I always kind of remember is that instead of Chevys, my homie's rolling in the back of a hearse. It's kind of fucked up, but he's, I mean, yeah, he's just saying that, you know, he's used to driving around with his buddies, and then one day he's not there anymore. So, you know,
yeah, as a psychopathic song, this is the most realistic at the time. I feel like telling this type of story.
yeah, of this era, I can't. I mean, there were some, I guess if we're comparing this to Malenko, there's like some real ones in there, but yeah, they're definitely.
This is more
touching on
fitting
their-
of like a Carnival of Carnage era of like, to me, you know, this. It feels like the old Hood song as Carnival of Carnage. Feels like old Southwest Detroit, you know?
I know what you're saying. I mean, like in reality, it's like 98 era, and then they're like tapping into a real song, like How Many Times was kind of like not personal, but it was, you know, about,
relatable stuff.
yeah, like real shit that
Yeah.
is fucked up. So that's all I was saying. Jeez. Don't get hot over there.
I was agreeing. We're just discussing.
Well, you're getting hot.
You know what? I going into the hook here, I never even like put it together that there's two different hooks. Like I've sang along to it and then know the lyrics and just never put two and two together that there's two different ones here.
Yeah, he talks very similarly, but he says different stuff, right?
Yeah, it kind of rotates, right? So you got that, then you go back to the original hook.
Then the
At the end
first
there.
one overlapping the Madrox one at the end. I believe you're right. So yeah, let's dissect what Violent J says, or not, because it's. I don't know. I don't get it. I think it's just kind of there, but you like it, so maybe other people.
That's it's going back to the swirling in and out of like not wanting to be in reality, not wanting to deal with what's going on. That's what I took.
Now, how come on other songs you're like, this sucks live. You can't do that verse live, or you can't do that hook live. It's not sing-songy enough. But this one, which is horrible live, you're okay with. You don't bring that up.
I didn't say if it's a good live track or not. I just
I guess you didn't. I'm just assuming that you're so in love with that you're going to be like, oh, that's great.
Oh, that's fine live. Because I think everyone knows not the hook, just the song in general. Because everyone kind of sings the whole song together.
No, I'm getting ahead of myself because I have a bone to pick with you later on. So
Okay.
All right. Then we get into the third verse, which is split Madrox and Monoxide. Agreed? Is that where we're at in your placement there? Okay, I don't want to lose you. Just making sure. It's like we're in school, and it's like, okay, everyone, we're on page 4. We're
Popcorn. You read it now. Did you do that when you were a kid?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, we'd read a book in school, you know, and you'd say popcorn, and you'd send to the next person in class to read their part. So you always try to figure out how little you'd want to read. You're like, all right, I'll maybe do 4 or 5 lines and get out of this and popcorn it to someone else, and then you just pick someone in the class to read their part. Usually you do it to a friend, or you do it to somebody you got a crush on. You know, that's what you would do back in the day.
No idea.
Maybe it was a Catholic school thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. If you, the listener, played Popcorn or whatever the fuck Chris is talking about, let us know. But I'm total loss.
You had to keep on your toes then, because you never know when you're going to be called to read, so you had to make sure that kept you on your place.
Did you call out? So you said who you wanted to pick up.
Yep, so the teacher would pick someone to start with, and then that person would say Popcorn, and they'd pick someone else in the class. And then that person would read for a little bit, and then they'd pick someone else. So that's how you scattered it throughout the class.
Why do you have to say why Popcorn?
I don't know, because it pops up to the next
because
person.
It pops up.
Kind of like Jamie's dick.
Jamie's dick. Oh, okay. Next. Anyways, so now we get into Jamie's next verse. Right off the bat, keep it in your clique, fuck the outsiders. That's the line of the whole song, right? I mean,
yeah. It fits the vibe of what we've been saying with the whole album, of the whole, us versus them.
And I feel like that line gets repeated to this day. And I didn't really put it together until I was doing a little bit of research here. I'm like, God, they say that somewhere else. Where is it? It's in the hook of Bury Me Alive.
Yeah.
I'm like, where is that? And I finally Googled it. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll be, that's right down the road there. But
it's been, like I said, it's been a while since we listened to the reissue track. So
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, there it is. But that's, as soon as his verse kicks in, this is like, not that his first verse wasn't good, but this is like banger Madrox verse, right? I mean, start to back. And I think, as you alluded to before, he talks about his father dying, which he's talked about in other songs, notably Tearjerker. If you've never listened to his solo CD, Fatso, there's a whole song about it. But he kind of crams that whole song into one little, half a verse here. But basically, again, things that everyone goes through is, losing a parent. And he, I don't know. It's a quick little tidbit here, but if you haven't listened to his solo CD, I definitely recommend you going and seeking that song out.
And then you go back to the original version, Slip into Reality. It's kind of interesting to see that he rewrote his lyrics, but he mentions his father in that one too. He's talking about, I drank to my pop's peppermint schnapps, I'm feeling faded. Why
do you have to skip around? Why can't you just stick to the format here?
Well, because it fits. It's just interesting that he kept that theme, but he rewrote it. That's all, man. Just saying.
Come on, pal. Stick to the format, pal. But,
well, we've done that before. We've discussed the First Day Out, both versions.
I know, but I didn't think that's not what the pre-production meeting was all about.
It feels applicable.
Oh, wow. Applicable is a 4-syllable word that Garden City Public High School popcorn reading taught you.
That's how I get you off of giving me heat. Is I just throw a big word out there and
throw
you off track.
Big words, eh? Write that on the spreadsheet. The big word tab. All right. So Madrox's verse, I think, is sweet. We get to Monoxide's verse, which I don't know. Like, I guess of the two, I like his first one better than this, and Madrox's I like the second one better than the first. But this one is just kind of, I don't know. It's there, but it doesn't tell the same kind of story that he told in the first one. It's just, I don't know, a little bit of a downer for me. But
I'm extremely confused with his first couple bars. Is he saying he seals fates and date rapes? Is that what he's saying?
I walk around, nobody knows what I do, sealing fates and date rapes.
I never could tell what he was saying, like, fully with sealing fates, but you could definitely hear date rapes, and I'm like, what is he talking about there?
I wonder, is he trying to say, and I don't want to, like, read the whole thing like I'm at a poetry slam here, as my body transcends through this portal of life, so grotesque, never stated on the microphone, so alone in this fucked up world. Like, I wonder if he's saying that in his raps, he's sealing fates, like he's killing people, date rapes, smoking blunts, like doing all that shit. But then when he gets off the microphone and he's the real person is when like the real fucked up things really occur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's the only way I can justify that, is that you think that what they're rapping about is fucked up, but the real fucked up stuff is real life.
Yeah, maybe that may make sense.
That's deep, man. Real deep.
Yeah, this one's a little bit more confusing than his first one in Madrox's. Both of Madrox's. This one feels more abstract.
Yes. Ooh, abstract. That's a good one. Good way to put it. And then we go into the final hook, which is...
Go back
sorry.
For Monoxide. I feel like his the ending of his verse stands out as something you kind of sing along. If I can't live my life the way I want to live my life. I feel like that...
we couldn't get you singing the beat.
Yeah,
we couldn't. So that's good enough for me. That was the Chris karaoke version of this episode. I agree. That is like it's different. Like he just raps his normal rap, and then that's not off key, but it's just it sounds different, and everything's kind of.
I always like when Monoxide does that. He does it more so like he starts singing a little bit more further in their career, but this kind of early version of that, and I feel like that stood out as everyone would sing it along. Like, we're angry again. We'll die if we can't live the way we want to live.
I've noticed, and I don't know when else we're going to get to talk about this, that you're right. Like, so he has that little sing-songiness to him, and there was an era, let's call it like the middle of their run, that like he would just scream like in the most inappropriate places and like draw out, you know, the lines, and it's just like, oh my God, like what is he doing? But I've noticed, because we recently saw them at Fright Fest. What year is this? 2021. And especially with the newer songs, like he's actually singing. Like I wonder, and this is so what a stupid fucking question on my part. I wonder if he actually took singing lessons, like to sing rock songs, because I noticed, I forget what song was it. Envy? It was one of the newer songs, like just the way he like holds the microphone when he hits a high note, he like moves it out like he's fucking Steven Tyler or like Alanis Morissette. Like
it's Christina Aguilera.
It is like, I'm curious to see if that's just on those songs or if he always done it. But yeah, I definitely noticed that he's got a little more rock in him, when I always thought Jamie was like the rocker at heart. Like maybe it's Monoxide doing the rock hooks on the last couple CDs. And
I always remember on Lotus when he sang that one part, help me out, like that. Like when I remember first hearing that, it'd be like, oh shit, this is awesome. And like I remember going to the in-store, going up to him and like, hey man, that shit was awesome. He like was generally like, oh sweet, like excited that someone said that. Like you could tell he was into it. Like you said, maybe he went a little too overboard trying to like sing, so many parts of songs, and now kind of dialed it back. Maybe either, like you said, took lessons or at least, practiced enough to be like, all right, this is how I need to do it. And these are the ones I should do instead of just throwing on like all sorts of parts of songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely gotten that down a lot better now.
Like the one I always remember, what song is it where he goes like, the competition dangling in chains? Like, it's so long and loud. It's like, stop. Like, you don't have to do that. That's not part, or like he does it overlapping someone else's verse. But yeah, now
when he's hyping up Madrox parts, he'll like draw it on as Madrox continues rapping. Yeah, it got out of hand a little bit maybe, but last time we seen him, it wasn't too bad.
No, I think it's just a learning thing, and it's crazy that they're learning that far into their careers, but they tried it, and I don't think it really worked, and now I think it's awesome how they do it. So,
well, they've adapted their sound, so you experiment with different things, so they definitely sound way different now than they did on this track, or with
for sure.
Green Book, or
any of them. Yeah,
that's a plus to them for sure.
Are you done fucking blowing smoke up their ass? Are you ready to keep going? Are you?
Yeah, let me talk about how sweet Jay is on this hook real quick. Like, pretend I'm not just like a Twiztid.
That's the Chris that I know. Jay's sweet.
Talk about a singer, man.
Jesus, who? Eddie Vedder?
Only better.
Okay, enough. So, are you done with Monoxide?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. What what did you pair today with this song? Well, what kind of beverage do you have over there?
I just poured a small whiskey neat just to have something to sip on. Since this track says, pour out some liquor, I thought might as well have a little bit of liquor and toast to the fallen homies of Monoxide and Madrox.
Is that what you're going to be drinking in your sorrow when Michigan loses to Ohio State?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're going to be pouring out a lot of liquor, probably out of your belly and your mouth and your butt.
I mean, no matter what happens that day, there'll be a few beverages had, happy or sad.
That's all that matters. It's all in good fun, right?
Wrong or right, bad or good. Believe in me and I believe in you, Jimmy.
That we didn't bring that. Well, okay, we're right there. That's a very good tie-in. So we're at the last hook where it's not all Madrox. It's a little bit of Jay overlapping it, right? Or is it all straight up Madrox?
No, you get the hook kicking in, and then Madrox kind of rides out on it.
He does the, like you just said, the bad or good, wrong or right.
Yeah.
I think
eyes are closed, head spin, and I don't know, and I don't know, and I don't know, and I don't know.
And I think that's sweet. Like, I enjoy that part of the hook. But again, I know, we'll get into that in a couple minutes. But I like that part. I think he mentioned that in that little clip. He says, as far as the message, I would have to say, united we stand, divided we fall. Believe in me and I'll believe in you and everything's tight. Because without hope, there's no future. And if you truly believe in yourself, nothing can stop you. So I think that kind of ties up the thought process behind the song is that everyone's in this life together and you just kind of got to either talk about it or just realize that everyone's got the same shit going on.
It's the first glimpses of the family, as you'd say.
Yes. It's one way to look at it. So, that is Renditions of Reality on the original and the reissue of Mostasteless. Now you want to go backwards? You want to go backwards before we go forwards?
Oh, we are the rewind, so let's rewind even more.
Let us go back to, man, I don't know what year, 1996? 1997? As everyone knows, Twiztid was part of the group House of Crazies, and they put out a album, not CD.
There you go.
I've said CD like 20 times already today. This was on Head Trauma, right?
Yes.
So they have a track called Slip Into Reality, which is very similar to Renditions of Reality. ROC has the first verse, Madrox has the second verse, and then Monoxide has 99% of the exact same verse that he has in Renditions.
Just some small changes here and there.
Yeah, just like little, I noted, like, instead of murder mind state condition, he says mental mind state position. Just little shit like that. Nothing changes. And then the last line he changes, I think. But other than that, yeah, it's 99% the same.
Yeah, Dead or Alive, reality check. We could do it on the outside. That's a different ending to it.
Yeah. Do you want to go through the other verses? I mean, ROC's verse kind of just going along the same line. So they had the same theory in mind. I think it's just about, and it's funny that he starts it with you've slipped into reality. So again, every verse has something about that phrase. And I think it's slipping in and out of either, your normal life, whether it's music versus real life or just shit that bothers you that's deep inside. I mean, he touches a little bit on death too, about, he doesn't say who the funeral is for, but that, he lost someone and that he didn't cry about it until his aunt told him that he could. I think that's just another part of maybe growing up in that era or that part of town definitely. Where you just had to be strong and not, show any weakness.
Definitely a era thing with male dudes for sure.
Male dudes?
Male dude. He has the same, inner city street stories too, for sure, that Monoxide, Madrox tell in there. So Yeah, that the theme is there with this. It's just a little bit more upbeat, the song itself.
Oh yeah,
Not the lyrics or the theme, but
yeah,
the actual song
upbeat.
is not it doesn't have that ballad closer feel as we discuss.
Yeah, I definitely in my notes I wrote faster flow because even Monoxide is obviously redone. It's the same lyrics, but it's definitely at a different tempo because this flow is way faster.
Go hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm feeling so sick, one of my dogs passed and shit. I'm thinking about killing them all, but what's that solve? He's still gonna be dead in the morning. Why take the fall? Inside, I'll be so mad I'm finna burst. Instead of Chevys, my homies rolling in the back of a hearse. You know what's worse? It's too hard to cope with some days.
And then there's, instead of a hook, they just have like these weird samples from like, I don't know if it's from a movie or a speech. Like I tried to look into it and I thought someone said one of the clips was from like either Menace or like one of those movies, but
Yeah,
I
I thought
couldn't.
it was Menace to Society. I haven't seen that in quite a while, so
Yeah, I couldn't place.
remember.
There's like 2 or 3 like overlapped, you know, that I like one sounded like from like a stand up and one was from like a movie, one was from a speech. I couldn't place any of
You
them.
know, all we gotta do is kick. We gonna kick it in our hood, you know. What we gonna do? You know, to sit there and think. I don't think you really gonna get deep into it when one of your friends die. Just like one of my partners died.
Every time they see, they're like, man, these people don't care about us, so we might as well just go ahead and keep fighting each other.
You killing me? I'm killing you.
the beat has that classic ROC House of Crazy is the like when the hook kicks in, it's like the do like I don't know what that sample was from, but
Yeah, it's from
ROC
something.
always
or-
has some cool samples that make me want to like dig it up. So, man, what is that from? Because that sounds so cool. Like he was great at that in that era of pulling these cool sounds from other old soul and funk albums. It seems.
Right. And then, as you alluded to before,
Boy, sorry, I spoiled the.
no spoilers, it's okay. Madrox, his verse here, very similar to the Renditions version, talks just about his father and not as much. I mean, he talks about it a little bit and then goes into other stuff that, again, we've beat this dead horse a million times, just about the fucked up parts of life, but he definitely touches on his father here. And then I guess I'd be curious, you know, why did he think he had to redo his, but Monoxide didn't think he had to redo his? I don't think there's anything wrong with Jamie's verse. It's just interesting
I
that
dig it.
he totally went like, okay, I'm going to scrap that and start from scratch. And Monoxide's like, I'm just going to, literally redo the exact same verse.
His verse feels like that first part about his dad and grief and all that feels like his second verse in Renditions, and then the second half of this when he just talks about life's full of technicalities, fucked up formalities. All it feels like the first verse where it's just talking about getting through life with all these people and daily day-to-day stress things. So it almost feels like he took that song, took that first
And
half,
split it.
and wrote his second verse on Renditions, and took that second half of this and wrote the first verse of Renditions. It almost feels like.
The shit is getting clear. The government got us in focus. Bill Clinton pushed the button, nuclear hocus pocus. They tried to provoke us with trees, infest us with disease. Is he trying to say that the government is poisoning us?
A little conspiracy theory action on this one.
Yeah, get out the tinfoil hat, Madrox. Jeez.
Maybe that's he didn't want to go full blown conspiracy on Rendition, so he's like, "Hey, clean that up."
So if you're looking for that, that original version is on House of Crazy's Head Trauma. It also got re-released. Magic Ninja put out Casket Cuts, which was, we talked about that earlier, I think on the Murder episode, where it's basically a best of and some lost versions of songs from House of Crazy's. I think 1 or 2 new ones, right? If I do
Yeah, I
recall.
believe so.
You can still find that, I think, on CD and 3 colors of tape. So those are collector's items for sure. So now that we've rewound, let's go forward. What do you call it? Mostasteless came out in 1998, as we all know, because we've listened to every episode here. In 2000, at the gathering of the Juggalos, Cryptic Collection came out, and we like to joke that shit just ended up on there for no particular reason. But I think this one had a good purpose. So this ended up as a remix, quote unquote, on Cryptic Collection.
Just like the last remix.
So
the What the Fuck remix, right? Is that what the one they had?
I think so. The crispy version.
Yeah.
So
both come across as just the demo versions.
So, okay, let's get into it. Are you saying that you like the original, or do you like this remix? Because I'll go. I think the remix is 100 times better.
I like the finished product on Mostasteless. I like you call it the original. I think this is the same thing as What the Fuck. It's the original version, not cleaned up.
Oh, well, let's just go to the book, as they say.
It'll all be explained in the book.
Note that as many times. Take a drink when Chris says that on an episode. So the book says that it was recorded for the first pressing of Mostasteless. When this song was recorded, Madrox and Monoxide made a personal mix for themselves with different breaks and louder piano. Just something to mellow out and get high to. I see what you're saying, that they did this version, brought it to the studio. Well, let's back up. They did this version with Scott Sumner. I would assume. Fuck that. Let's go back even further. Is Scott Sumner getting the credit for it because he did the Slip Into Reality? So he kind of got grandfathered into this, but no, I wonder if
Slip Into Reality to me is ROC. That's definitely an ROC production.
Yeah, I guess now we're getting deep in the weeds there. Like, how much of House of Crazies did Sumner do, if any? Did he only do Mostasteless?
I mean, if he did anything on House of Crazies, it was just pushing the button to record. Like, all that production is ROC. I mean, he would even say so.
I guess you're right. So they brought this to Sumner. They put it together. I guess the timeline does line up that they did the song, Jamie did the hooks, they brought it to Psychopathic, and then they cleaned it up. The two notable things is taking Jamie off of the hooks, and then that piano is like way louder in the remix, quote unquote. But I think it makes it more ballady. I like it.
This version also has, if you listen to them like back to back, especially on Madrox, it has like a little echo or like effect on his voice, and it sounds like House of Crazy still. That's why I thought it was the original version, because that sound on his voice feels like Mr. Bones era. Like, I don't know how to describe it, like a little echo or a little effect over it, where I feel the version on Mostasteless doesn't have that sound. The voice is a lot cleaner.
When you slip into reality, hoes wanna straddle me, player haters wanna battle me, but I shed them all like calories. Prophecy preacher, lend your ear and I'll reach ya, and if you're willing to be taught, I'm a teacher. I'm not a people person. Truth is I can't stand too many people. So many fake the fucking purpose.
Do you think that was just cleaner, or are you insinuating that he re-recorded it?
I just feel like they took off whatever that echo
that effect was.
Yeah, effect on there, because it sounds like how his voice sounds on House of Crazies more so.
I think I kind of know what you're talking about. You're talking his verses or just the hook, or both?
His verses, yeah. Okay. I listened to him back to back, especially at the very beginning there. When it opens up with "So you slip into reality, hoes want to straddle me." Yeah, I feel like they sound slightly different, and the cryptic version kind of has a little echoey effect on the voice that reminds me of House of Crazies. That's why I thought it was. I would say we call it the demo version. The version they started with.
Right. Well. Okay. I like the cryptic version better, but you're voting for the original. That's fine. We can't agree on everything.
If that timeline played out the way I think it did, it's a good this track all season we've discussed the two halves of Mostasteless and the House of Crazies blending into Twiztid. I feel like you line all three of these up, you have the Slip Into Reality, which It has, some of the original lyrics, same theme. It has that ROC beat, more upbeat, House of Crazy sound. And then the cryptic one gives you, like I said, slowed down, has like some of that House of Crazy's effect. And then that third one, I feel like then you add Jay in the hook on that third one. It has like the full psychopathic. So to me, it's you almost get that full. This thing we've said all season is like that transition from House of Crazies into the psychopathic act they become. I feel
It's like
a good way to wrap that whole thing up, as we've discussed all season.
Yeah, it's like the evolution of man picture, where it's like it just shows Twiztid going from old to new.
The evolution of a Juggalo.
Write it down. All right, so we've done the lyrics. We've now gone through the history. I think we kind of touched on the everlasting lines and places in history, right? I mean, as you just said, it touches the past, the future. It references, other songs. It talks about things that Madrox talks about in future CDs. So I think it's a nice little spoke in the wheel of the Juggalo history. Mm-hmm. Let's get right down to it. Rating this song on the CD, where do you put it?
Upper half. It's top 3 to 5, I would put it.
I tend to agree with that. It's tough because it's really its own demon. It's like so unlike all the other stuff. It's hard to compare it to like Secondhand Smoke and Murder. But I agree. If it's not the top 3 for me, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, definitely in the top 5. I would maybe say the 3 behind Secondhand Smoke, Die Motherfucker Die.
Yeah, you're getting into esteemed talk when you're putting it up there, but I agree.
I feel like they don't really pull it out too much. We haven't seen them live a ton lately, but I feel like it's one that still is relevant, still is brought up, still maybe played, Doing a little bit of research, I feel like whether it's consistent or not, they have had it at multiple points in their career. I saw it like 05 Gathering, a couple different tours I saw that they played it on. So whether it's a staple, it definitely has come and gone, and it's not just disappeared. So
all of my dogs can't die. I visit the sky and reminisce when I'm high. I'm never gonna lie. I got love for my peoples, dead or alive, but we can smoke out in the ride. In my vision of reality, and the good, all the right. Believe in me and I'll believe in you and everything's time. Reality is a fragment inside my soul. My eyes are closed and spinning, and I don't know what I'm on. I don't know, and I don't know, and I don't know, and I don't know, and I don't know.
I think it's a good live track too. I agree. It's worthy of being a part of their live show for sure. When they do the hook the right way and not the shitty way. Well, I think that's about it. Oh, no, we didn't talk about would you put this on your all-time Twiztid CD?
I think so. I think it would be my closing track.
Oh, I'm glad that you said that. So I alluded to this. We'll try to make this short and sweet. We both agreed that, this is a top song on the CD, perhaps a top song of all time for Twiztid. I went ahead and made a list of all of Twiztid's songs that end their CDs. Do you have that list in front of you, Chris, or do you want me to blow through it myself?
You could blow through it. I don't have it pulled up.
All right. So we said that that's their thing, that they put real good tracks on the end, and they're, a little deeper, just a different type of song. It's easy for us to say like, oh, that's the best one they had. But just running through the list here, the ones that I think are sweet: Renditions of Reality, I'm All Right, You're the Reason, Darkness, skip a couple, Monsters Ball, I don't know if I really count that one, Whoa Whoa on Wicked, All the Rest, Love Don't Live Here Anymore. I like Forget You, Long Road Home is good. it's ridiculous how good their last tracks are on their albums.
Yeah, there's not really any that you would skip. I think they're all.
Yeah, there's a couple, and I name the ones that I like. There's a couple in there that I'm not super attached to. Maybe someone else is, like The Argument or Note to Self, Monstrosity. They don't speak to me like the other ones do. But maybe someone else is attached to those. So, just off the top of your head, do you think it's the best Twiztid ending track? Because that's hard for me. Right off the top of my head, I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. But when you look at that list, if I had to make my own Twiztid mix CD and I had to have an ending track out of one of those, I don't know which one I would pick, to be honest. Those are some of my favorites that I have of all time.
True. Yeah, I think a lot of those would be ones I'd want to put on like you said, a mix CD for someone.
That's tough.
Darkness was one, right?
Yeah, I love Darkness.
Yeah. That's the one I feel like would give it a run for its money, maybe. Not a closing track, but Whoa 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 is
that's great. I love that one too.
Great slow ballady one.
I just started kind of picking up on Love Don't Live Here Anymore.
That's a good one too.
I like that one.
They had a nice little run there, was that late 2000s, early 10s, teens?
Oh God, we're so old.
Yeah, Wicked, and that one that Love Don't Live Here. What's that one?
That's on
Heartbroken and Homicidal or whatever.
No, Heartbroken and Homicidal has All the Rest, which I also really like.
Yeah, but all those, I feel like all those were in a row. Oh
yeah,
they kind of right before the Magic Ninja run. They closed out on some banger albums there.
Yeah, that was right at the end of the Psychopathic run, because I think. Oh, is that Abominations? Love Don't Live Here Anymore.
I
think so.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, that's right in the.
Those are the three, though, right? Abominations, Wicked, and Heartbroken Homicidal.
All three are back to back, yeah.
Yeah, the Psychopathic run.
I think not a lot of people love all those, but I kind of do. That's a good era for me.
I'm down with that era.
So yeah, it's I don't know. We're talking about this being on your all-time CD. I want to put it there, but goddamn, I can make a whole CD of just those ending tracks too. So it's
which now we have a playlist for everyone to dive into.
Yeah, I'll have to make that. That's on mine. I'll have to transfer that over. So I'll make that happen here soon. So that's it. That's Most Tasteless, the original CD.
Well, we won't give closing thoughts. We'll save that for a final wrap up of, like I said, tie up loose ends, full final thoughts, and all that. Yeah,
we have other stuff to talk about. We can't drag on this episode for too much longer because we've already gone over an hour. So we'll tie it up here just real quick. If you're following us on the socials, it's at Juggalo RWD. Find us on YouTube. Call us at 810-666-1570. Email us at juggalorwd@gmail.com. And don't forget to rate, review, do all that fun stuff wherever you listen to podcasts. You got anything else on Renditions of Reality, or are you ready to tie this up?
I don't believe so. I don't know.
All right. This is Peter. That's Chris. And we will see you in the future on the Juggalo Rewind. Hey, are you still here? What's going on? Why are you still on the line?
I didn't realize I didn't turn it off. I guess I was just hanging out.
Your mic's still on?
Pouring out some liquor for The Fallen.
Are you just too lazy to turn off your mic?
Yeah, I guess I'm too lazy to take my headphones off either because I'm still sitting here with them on.
That's true, because when you touch them, shit goes crazy. All right, well, I guess if we're still here, maybe someone else is still listening, so maybe we should keep talking. What do you say? You got something else we can talk about here?
Oh, I'm sure there's something we could discuss, right?
I think
we only went through
there
5
is.
minutes.
We can't just talk about Renditions of Reality on the original Mostasteless without talking about the hidden track. Talk about something that is just in the lore of this era of Psychopathic. Does anyone else do hidden tracks? I should go back. I'm sorry. I actually had this conversation with a bunch of our friends in a text recently about like where that era where like Korn would have like the first 13 tracks were blank, or someone had like 99 blank tracks.
I forgot about like that goofiness
stupid
too.
shit. I'm not going to be able to find it, but our friend Brendan talked about how some albums you had to skip backwards from the first track, and there was a hidden
really?
track like 0. So
See, that's interesting.
yeah, it's real weird technology, but not so much in that era. Now we're talking like late 90s, definitely Psychopathic, where we're dropping hidden tracks, trying to drop little messages. This one was Violent J telling you a fun story about, now, Chris, get your thing open, get your tab ready for your Juggalo lore. The song, the track, or the story is about a young man named Jack Picklebush. so add him to your canon of Juggalo history. And his 3 friends, Ron, Don, and John.
Yeah, we got a lot of Juggalo characters on this one popping up that are going to make the list.
Yeah, there's a whole family of them here. As you may or may not know, Jack Picklebush, his friends called him Fat Sack Jack because his ball sack, because we went a whole song without talking about dick and balls, was 4 times as big as normal.
There once was a ninja named Jack Picklebush. He lived in the 313 area code. Now this kid wasn't no ordinary ninja because his nut bag was 4 times the size of his head. Everybody in the neighborhood calls him Fat Sack Jack.
It comes out that his friend John has 2 buttholes. So that's definitely something interesting that I wasn't expecting. And as you may have already gone back and paused this episode and gone to listen to this because you haven't heard this in 20 years, the idea of Psychopathica was doing this was telling a quick story and throwing in little like numbers or something to get you, I guess in this case, was to call the Twiztid hotline. So
yeah, is this the debut of their hotline then, I'm guessing?
Was it on?
Psychopathic and ICP had their hotline
Correct.
time, so
I
it'd be
can't
fitting that Twiztid would have one.
I can't remember if Twiztid's was on their CD, like if it was in the liner notes or on the back, or if, I don't know. That I don't have it in front of me, so I couldn't tell you.
Add it to the wrap-up.
I was told at Astronomicon one year by Scotty D of Fago Lovers that this was not the original hotline number, because I use this as a trivia question on Juggalo Trivia. And he's like, that wasn't the original number. And I'm like, it was the number on fucking Mostasteless, so I don't know what to tell you. It was the one that I remembered off the top of my head 20 years later, so.
Was that the one that when Blaze was reading it, he like remembered the number, like he had it like memorized in his brain and was telling the story about them recording it in like Jamie's garage and stuff?
I think so. Like, there's another callback that Astronomicon Juggalo Trivia is always phenomenal for stories with Blaze. So,
yeah,
you
try to tee him up, and he usually always remembers something, or like, yeah, it always works out perfectly that you trigger something in his brain that he completely goes on his story for every question. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, this year he went into stories about HOK playing in Ypsilanti. He was talking about touring with Cottonmouth Kings.
Yeah, getting like insanely high with KMK.
Yeah. he's a full of good stories like that. So And this one, the same thing. Purple Show, he's talked about how fun that was, and I think the same with the hotline, like how much fun they had doing that. So yeah, they've done this in the past, or ICP did it in the past, so Twiztid picked up on this, and throughout the story they dropped little numbers within it, and you put those numbers together and you got to call the hotline. So that was it's a fun little tidbit at the end of the CD. So it was on the original but not on the reissue. I wonder why that is.
I'm guessing the hotline was still kicking at that point, right? You would think.
Oh yeah, it went for years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I wonder why, but definitely got cut. It's very sad.
It's funny though. I love those the old ICP story. Like you said, sort of fake characters, goofy shit they say. I love on this one. It's like Madrox and Manhaka. Well, yeah, like the old noises they make. Like, I can't believe it. It's funny.
Yeah, that is funny.
Figure it out. I don't get it. Figure it out. Where'd he go? I ain't supposed to do it. Fuck off. Figure it out. I don't get it. Where'd he go? Where'd that guy go that was telling that story? I'm gonna wait here, bro. Go see Juggalo. I don't know. I mean, walking away. What the fuck's going on? See you later.
I haven't thought about this, and I have not pre-planned this, but I'm going to call this number and see what happens.
See if anything happens on it.
I'm going to, what's a star 67 blocks your number, right?
I think so.
So 1-313-438-2812. Let's call. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, Chris, but I'll put it up to the microphone here. Oh.
Number as dialed is not valid. Please check the area code and telephone number and dial again.
Oh. Well, that's not in service anymore. So
it's now just used by Russian bots to like try to scam information out of you on your phones.
So next time you answer your phone and it's a Spectrum cable trying to look for something, or AT&T, or your warranty on your car, maybe it's the Twiztid hotline number. You never know. All right. Are you done with Jack Picklebush? Can we get out of here, or are we going to wax poetically more about this?
No, we could get going.
All right. This was, once again, the end of episode 14, the end of the original Mostasteless, and I'm sure we'll be talking to everyone here again real soon. All music played in this episode and in this entire season is owned by the respective publishers and copyright holders and is reproduced for review purposes only under fair use. Season 1 of the Juggalo Rewind, Mostasteless, has been produced and distributed with full permission from Magic Ninja Entertainment. Thank you to George, Mike, Dustin, and Twiztid, and everyone at Magic Ninja for allowing us to do this podcast for you.